Well, I suppose I've stopped trying to be a saint or a perfect person. If perhaps I never really did try, but
Yes.
I'm comfortable with where I am. I know that I'm doing perhaps more good than most people in the community for the world in general. So I don't dwell on the shortcomings as much as thinking about, yes, can I do a bit more still? So I do want to do more, but I don't worry about the fact that I'm probably, virtually certainly never going to be doing everything that I could be doing.
Well, I was interested in this from a psychological perspective and conceptually as well. The logical positives assert that moral judgments cannot really be true or false, and that each system of morality that we develop, and I remember reading about this in the historian Yuval Noah Harari's *Sapiens*, that the social story or narrative that we tell ourselves in terms of ethics or morality is essentially a fiction. And so the Charter of Human Rights is a fiction. It's not something that's immutable, but it's something that's agreed upon by a society. And so I wondered what you thought of that.
That's not my view. I can't speak for Yuval Harari, and I can't say whether you've correctly interpreted him, but certainly not my view that there are no objective truths in morality. Certainly there is variation in morality across different societies, but then there's variation across different societies in beliefs about the origin of the Earth or the development of different life forms. And I think that some of those views are false, and there is essentially one view that is correct on that question. So the fact that there's diversity in moral views across different cultures isn't itself enough to show that there's no truth to be discovered. I do think that certainly some of these moral views we can be pretty confident are not correct. Sorting out exactly which is the correct one might be harder, and it's certainly harder to get agreement on it. But it may still be the case that there is one true moral view.
I suppose I thought that, utilitarianism in terms of looking at the consequences, it's not to say that the fictions, that when we talk about fictions, like whether it's a system of ethical or moral conduct in Mesopotamia or the caste system in India where people are treated differently based upon a particular system that's developed by a society, because you can tell a lot of things from consequences, whether you feel as though the consequence is good or not good.
Yes, certainly I would judge those systems by their consequences, and I would judge the ones you mentioned as not good. And it's significant that if you're talking about the caste system in India, of course, a lot of enlightened people have opposed the caste system in India very strongly, and there's been moves against that, even if it still lingers, and I think it lingers more in less educated areas, rural areas perhaps, than it does in more better educated urban areas. So I do see that as something that will recede with more education of the population. And I think that in itself indicates something about things that are not just relative. It's not just that one system is as good as another, but